Mike Sierra one
can't handle the truth.
You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. How can you do a thing like this?
I am authorized to assure you these rumors are based on hysteria and are absolutely false. I repeat, these rumors are absolutely false.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining me for another dive into the relentless lies of Mike Zeroh. Before I start today's video, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you who have taken the time to watch the videos, for all your comments, likes and more amazingly the subs, which have been a huge surprise to me to say the least. It was never my intention to make a vast amount of content. I just found myself taking issue with things that stood out as not being, or seemingly truthful from Zeroh. And this was the only way I could have my say, and by extension let people like yourselves have yours. So back to today's video, in which we take a look at another case of backtracking, that always befalls Zeroh once the real and truthful news gets out. I have already shown you two great examples of this, and in my mind this one is another example of the lies Zeroh weaves, only to be caught in his own web of deceit somewhere down the line. If there's one person Zeroh hates more than Kathleen Kennedy, it's Brie Larson. Now I'm not here to judge who anyone likes or dislikes, I'm only interested in the lies that have surrounded someone, based on no facts whatsoever, apart from maybe the odd picture, and other bits of info that get taken out of context, or as in most cases, turn into Chinese whispers. At some point after the release of Captain Marvel, there seemed to be a great deal of interest directed to Brie, most of it being negative. Then she became the person to use as a focus of clickbait. Put Brie in the title and you're bound to attract attention. Bounding into comics were right in at the deep end and everyone jumped on the bandwagon, Zeroh included.
It's explained that one of the big plans between Kathleen Kennedy and the rest of Lucasfilm is to bring on Brie Larson for a future Star Wars movie or TV series, where it's explained that previous conversations had involved Brie to portray the role of Ahsoka Tano. However, Kathleen Kennedy is said to also have other plans in the works for Brie Larson entering into the Star Wars universe.
So Zeroh was off and running, and so we're inside the magic. We got this covered, and a host of others out there only too happy to use Brie as a means to an end. As well as apparently being cast, or possibly being cast as Ahsoka Tano, she was also being eyed up for the role of Mara Jade. This all started around 3 years ago, and there has been nothing to suggest that any of this actually took place, or someone is keeping very tight-lipped about a possible Larson appearance in a Star Wars show.
So, what's really interesting is that there is one show in particular that a lot of fans are up in arms over, and that is of course the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series. This particular show is going to be considered a High Republic TV series that takes place at the very end of that particular era. So that actual era is going to be based within just decades before the events of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So it takes place at the very end of the High Republic. However, with actress Brie Larson currently working along with Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland, it's best described that the Acolyte series is still heading into some issues when it comes to heading into principal photography that they are actually trying to do throughout the entire summer. Now, it's described that Brie Larson's character Maeve recently was reduced with the amount of episodes that she would be involved in for the series, given that she was being overly demanding with her screen time. However, it's described that as of right now, Brie Larson is said to be furious and angry with the Star Wars fandom for already not accepting her to become a part of the new series for Disney+.
That was taken from a video posted on May the 24th, 2021. Where most left the story behind in early 2019, Zeroh has continued with it. This is a familiar format for Zeroh. He takes what is essentially a rumor and turns it into what he thinks should be facts. You may also recognize some other traits that reek of Zeroh's fictitious shenanigans, such as a star alienating fans, not doing as they're told, and being over-demanding. If that sounded familiar, it's because he did, and is still doing the same thing with the Mandalorian star, Pedro Pascal. So before we hit the next clip, I want to clarify that Brie Larson is in the Acolyte, and they have some issues that are holding up principal photography this summer. And for anyone not sure what principal photography is, it's the phase of producing a film or television show in which the bulk of shooting takes place. That will be important later on in this video.
Now, it's described, however, that behind the scenes, major problems have been happening with a new Star Wars TV series for Disney Plus that is set to involve actress Brie Larson for the role of Maeve. who is set to become a Jedi God in the series. It's described that recently Larson has been very overly demanding with the new direction of the show by Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland, and has been causing nothing but trouble during pre-production.
During pre-production, the script is broken down into individual scenes with storyboards and all the locations, props, cast members, costumes, special effects and visual effects are identified. An extremely detailed shooting schedule is produced and arrangements are made for the necessary elements to be available to the filmmakers at the appropriate times. Sets are constructed, the crew is hired, financial arrangements are put in place and a start date for the beginning of principal photography is set. At some point in pre-production, there will be a read-through of the script which is usually attended by all cast members with speaking parts, the director, all heads of departments, financiers, producers, and publicists. We are playing a clip from a video dated the 12th of December 2021. You may recall that Zeroh said they wanted to start principal photography by the summer of 2021 in his video, dated May the 24th, 2021. Well, that video and this video make everything he said moot, as Lucasfilm and Disney Plus have officially announced that the upcoming live-action Star Wars series The Acolyte is now filming in the UK as of the 7th of November 2022. Which means 1 year, 5 months, and 15 days after he said they started.
Now recently, however, Larson's role as the character Maeve has been drastically reduced to now only having a handful of scenes for the Acolyte TV series. Given that she has been creating nothing but creative differences between herself and Leslie Headland by a combination of overly demanding unnecessary additional screen time in the show to also being rude with the writers and directors coming on board of the Acolyte.
In most if not all of the videos Zeroh has made, he keeps on pushing the angle that Brie is just a pain to work with, thus feeding what his subscribers want to hear. This also goes for Kennedy, who is in continuous battle with Chapek, John, Dave and believe it or not, Lucas himself. Zeroh has insisted that Brie is writing her own dialogue, changing Star Wars lore, wants more screen time, more money, and if she didn't get the latter, she would leave. From the onset, Brie was the lead in The Acolyte, but did you notice in the clip from December 12, 2021, Brie's screen time was dropped to a more minor role? That's because on December the 8th, 2021 they announced that Amandla Stenberg was cast in the lead, which was later confirmed by July the 22nd, 2022. It's Zeroh moving the goalposts again. By saying she has a diminished role, he could just say she walked, or somewhere down the line he will say she had to be let go for being over-demanding. He did the same thing with Mena Massoud, as I pointed out in a previous video. She was also supposed to appear at Star Wars Celebration and be part of an announcement about her involvement in the show, but that never happened in either 21 or 22. Again, according to Zeroh, she also lost an animated TV show that was stopped by Chapek. But why would anyone put money and effort into a show that is a spin-off of The Acolyte that hasn't even aired yet? It's because Zeroh needs to keep the lies running in as many different ways as possible. How many times have you heard that a project that Kennedy has had in the past has now been halted? She lost her creative control back in late 2019 into 2020, or so Zeroh seems to think, but somehow these shows with no names keep popping up, only to be cancelled by Bob Chapek or even Jon Favreau. I'll leave you with one last thing to ponder. Ask yourself this: why does someone with all this so-called insider info only have information surrounding one person, and has submitted no other leaks about any of the other stars who are also in The Acolyte, but knew that Brie Larson was involved with this show from around 2019, and hasn't mentioned her for months, or moreover, since the cast announcements were made? It's simple really. Zeroh is a liar and shouldn't be trusted to bring you any form of real and genuine Star Wars news. That's all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon.